Before you guys join a chat room, you need to watch this video. Now, why is that? Well, let's find out. I've written down some pros and cons that I really believe are advantages, disadvantages of either joining a chat room, not joining a chat room, and I want to run through some of these, but before I do that, I want to preface this conversation by saying that ultimately I do believe experience is your best teacher, whether you're a part of a chat room or not. Experience in the market is your best teacher, and that is something that cannot be taught. That's just something that you have to experience on your own. Many traders will tell you just that combined experience over time, the years of doing this in and out, it'll just become intuition in a certain way. You know, your gut will tell you when to trade, when not to trade. You know how to trade, you know your edge, you know your system. That combined experience, it'll yourself, you know, your gut will tell you how to trade. Now, let's go over some pros and cons of should you join a chat room. There's many different kinds of chat rooms out there. I've been a part of pretty much all of them. If I haven't been a part of them, I've heard everything I need to know about them. And so there's some pros and there's some cons. Number one, a pro. A pro for joining a chat room would be, especially if you guys are new traders. If you're fresh, if you're new, you have to have some sort of guidance. I mean, I would certainly suggest getting a part of some chat room. The problem is you have to, find the right people. And that can be hard in the beginning when you don't know anybody in the trading industry. You don't know who's reputable, who's not, who you should listen to, where you should adhere, that sort of thing. That's the hard part in the beginning, is knowing who to trust, who not to trust, because we know this business is very untrustworthy. I mean, as long as I've been here 3.5 years, and I've seen not just like YouTube guys, scamming people, but even chat rooms scamming people. So you got to be very careful. A lot of precautions, and those are some of the things I want to go over, some of those precautions. But first, a pro for joining a chat room, especially if you're new, is that guidance. You got to have some guidance when you first get started. Now, it doesn't matter really which room you join. You need to join a room with someone with some experience that you can just watch. You can watch their experience. You can watch their lessons. You can, read their books. You're going to be doing a lot of watching in the beginning. Now, this person or this chat room you may join, you may not trade that strategy at all. But this is why I would recommend joining many chat rooms. Join this one for a month. Join that one for a month. Because a con of staying in one chat room is that you need to avoid kind of the groupthink. Now, you may be wondering what groupthink is. Have you ever watched, it's kind of like, it has a lot to do with psychology. I don't know if you guys ever seen the videos where they put some random people in a room and everybody was seated. It was like 3 people and 97 people all knew what was going on. And all 97, when a certain noise went off, 97 would stand and then sit. Stand and then sit. And eventually those 3 would just start standing with them when they all stood, not knowing why, but they just do it. And that's what groupthink is. Everybody eventually starts trading the same as everybody else in the room. So if you got this guy teaching people how to trade and they're just trading low floats, and they're just pumping and dumping stocks, and they say, okay, I'm buying this, and then the rest of the 500 people buy it. That's not a strategy. I mean, that's not an independent way of trading in the markets. It's not like a long-term strategy. It's just being a sheep and buying something when everybody else is buying it. That is not going to produce longevity in the markets, just kind of following other people and how they trade. And that's why I suggested a pro of joining a chat room is find his style. Figure out this person's style. Join a bunch of different chat rooms, figure out how these guys trade, bounce around ideas off of, other members of the chat room. That's something else. That's another pro. I would certainly recommend joining a room so you can meet like-minded people, so you can meet traders. Because one thing that's going to produce longevity in the market is meeting like-minded people that are there to encourage each other. Because it is very easy to get discouraged in the market. And that's certainly a pro from what I've seen in the community of trading. When people are down, everybody in the community certainly surrounds that person and lifts them up. I've seen it a lot, even with myself, years ago and not having a system and struggling. It happens a lot in the community because people know what it's like to lose big in trading, because you will lose big. And you may not believe that, but you will eventually. And it's really nice to just have that community to lift you up. Because if you don't you're just going to have a lot of self-doubt, and you know, the 90% of traders who don't make it in the market are the ones who give up. And so being part of the 10% means staying persistent, staying patient, and never giving up. That's a pro for joining a community. It really is. Everybody who's watching this video would testify to that. I believe that that's a huge pro. It's just the support. And from what I've noticed, everybody, you know, is there to help each other. They're there to sharpen you as well. They're going to encourage you, lift you up. But not only that, they're going to tell you what you don't want to hear, which these people are your best friends. You know, normally your family and friends are the ones who, you know, want you to go the conventional route, get a 9-to-5, and, you know, they crush your dreams. But the people who are other day traders that are like-minded and tell you why you did this wrong, these are your best friends. You know, they want to lift you up. They want you to do better. They want you to succeed. So they're going to encourage you, but they're also going to tell you what you don't want to hear, probably, which is stop trading like that. You know, they're going to spank you, which is a good thing. I like spanking people too. I've helped a lot of guys out, and when somebody's doing something I know is, you know, wrong, I'll spank them. You know, I don't mind giving a good spanking. Let's go into another con of joining a chat room. There's a lot of chat rooms out there that strictly focus on low float stocks, and there is a reason for that. It's because, you know, the most money can be made by being a chat room leader and focusing on low float stocks. These low float stocks, for those of you who are new and don't know, they have a lower amount of shares in their float, which means there's a higher demand for them. It can create a bigger rip if there's a lot of buying power behind them. And if you have 500 people in a chat room and the chat room leader says, I'm buying this, and then everybody else buys it, the thing can just get pumped up so easily. But the bad thing about this is, and the precaution is, you know, personally, I don't really believe, I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one. I don't believe traders should start with low float stocks. Now, I did, as well as many other people. The reason I don't believe that is they're dangerous. They're very dangerous. There's a lot of manipulation behind them, you know, via brokers trading against, you know, their clients, spies in chat rooms trading against people. I mean, there's so much manipulation with them, and it's hard to be consistent with them. I had some of my biggest wins with the lower float stocks, but I just said, you know what, not trading them anymore. I have over 90% consistency trading other stuff, and, you know, not as big of wins. I had, you know, plenty of big wins with the low floats, but here's the thing with the lower floats. Let's say you're a newer trader and you end up, you know, buying at the top, which is kind of what, you know, these low floats are. You're just kind of buying high and selling higher, essentially. The problem is if this thing dumps, and they do, I mean, this is what low floats do. They get pumped and then they get dumped. Euphoria always ends in tears. A lot of new traders, they'll be left like deer in headlights. And a lot of guys who've been in the market for a while, they know what I'm talking about. You get caught up in a trade, and when you were planning on risking a very small amount, you end up risking a lot more. Actually, you probably just turned into a long-term investor, and now you're holding and hoping. So that's a serious precaution about a lot of these chat rooms. Now, not every chat room focuses on low flows, but it's something you need to look into. Is that something you want to trade? Is that something you want to start out with? And if it is, you know, make sure, you know, you start maybe a little smaller with smaller size. You don't want to knock yourself out of the game too early, too quick, because like I said, 90% of traders, they fail to make it to the 10% because they get knocked off, you know, too early. They size in too big. They start with these lower flows. So just be precautious about that and understand what you're getting yourself into. Because ultimately your goal is not to merely follow alerts and be a sheep. Your goal in going from chat room to chat room and starting out, you know, getting some guidance is because you want to be an independent trader eventually. You're in these chat rooms to find your edge, and find that system, you know, that you're going to trade in and out each and every day. And I go over that quite a bit, that's what consistency is. Consistency is just doing the same thing day out each and every single day. And that's a pro. I want to go over a pro as far as being in a chat room is the community aspect of it. It gives you a lot of fulfillment, especially when new guys come in and you want to help them out. Because if you've been doing this a while, it does certainly get dull and a little boring if you found a system in place. Now, trading is always going to be exciting if you don't have a system, because you're trading, you know, random setups, you have random risk, you know, and all that randomness creates random results, and it kind of gives you this high euphoric feeling, and, you know, that's what's exciting and gambly. But when you find your edge and you trade the same thing every single day, it does get a little dull and boring, but that's what consistency is. But the good thing about being in a chat room at that point is the community aspect of it, because there's no fulfillment in just clicking buttons all day. The fulfillment, you know, for me, a lot of times is being able to help the next person out. Because I don't really just want my job for the rest of my life to just be clicking buttons and then I die. You know, I want to make a difference. I want to help the next person out. And that involves community. You got to have other people that, you know, you can help out. People who have, you know, a desire, who are hungry for this. That's part of being successful, having that hungry desire, being able to listen to those who have, you know, who've been down this road, who've done this every single day for a long, long time. So those are some pros and cons I wanted to share with you. Ultimately, I do believe experience is going to be your best teacher, but you need some guidance. But just be precautious, be careful of what you're getting yourself into, and try a lot of them out. Go from chat room to chat room, meet friends along the way, and keep in mind that you're not in these chat rooms to merely be a sheep and follow alerts. You're here to figure out your edge. You're going to figure out how you're going to trade, and you're going to start trading that in and out every day once you find it out. You're going to cut out all the randomness. So guys, I hope this helped you out. For the new guys who may be thinking about joining a chat room, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you need any help at all, I'm always here to help. And guys, don't forget to smack that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. We'll see you all next time.